Alright, well, this video is going to be slightly different because I'm going to go over my rear bumper tire carrier that I built, partially built. The bumper I bought, but the tire carrier I built. And I wasn't doing a bunch of YouTube when I did this, so you know, I didn't do a lot of recording. I took a bunch of pictures, but not a lot of recording. So yeah, it's either going to be in the beginning, sometime after I do this little introduction, or it's going to be at the end. There's going to be a bunch of pictures on what I went through on building this. I'll put a link to my build thread too, because I jump starting to where this build started. If you want to actually read through and look at some pictures in detail on my build thread on the truck, which I haven't updated in over a year. But anyway, yeah. Like I said, I bought the bumper. The bumper is actually a Logans metal product bumper, which is the same company that built this bumper. Not the grill guard and stuff. I added that later. But this base bumper, and I got that in like 2010. And back then they were only making, I think, Cherokee bumpers, front and rear bumper tire carrier, and some Bronco 2 stuff. But they do a lot more stuff now. But this bumper is designed for the trucks, honestly. It's got support brackets on the side that go from the edge to the frame rail. And that will only fit a truck without modification, because the SUVs have a body mount at the exact spot that brace mounts. So I had to fabricate my own base, which or brace on both sides, which I'll show a little later. But otherwise, it bolts with 2 of the factory locations, 2 bolts. Maybe 3, I think 2 though, and then that brace. But yeah, the bumper's fine. It's you know, it's solid for what it is. It was cheap, which was the main reason I went ahead and bought it and did not build one. Plus, it came out a lot cleaner than probably I could have built it. Not saying I couldn't make something like this, but you know, to get the cuts exactly right and all this stuff, you really need a plasma cutter or something, or a CNC plasma cutter, and I don't have that. So, you know, it would be a lot of measure cut, and take a lot more time building something like this than it would buying it. Plus, it was cheaper from what I could get steel from. I did modify the base though. The base, I actually welded a piece on the top right here. It's supposed to, you can see the weld line. I did that because I put an LED strip at the top for the lights, because the light holes, you could either order it with the light holes so you could put the factory lights in it, but I opted not to because I got one of the new style hitches. And what I did with this, you can't tell on the front, but I'll show you in the back in a minute. The mounting plate for this, which is a plate that 90 degrees, and you'll see it in the pictures too. I actually cut a hole in this, took the thin metal plate, butted it up against this, and welded it. So this is actually clipped in how it's supposed to clip in. And like I said, I'll show the back in a minute. But that's basically the base of the bumper. And I added these later for flagpole mounts. Stuff like I'm going to football games or something, I'll put a flag on there. But these can be taken off. They're just bolted in to the back side. There's 4 holes here that bolt into these. I got one on each side. That's an extra hole I drilled for another CB antenna that I didn't know if I wanted to put one in or not. And there might be another antenna going there at some point, like if I get a scanner or something, or a ham radio. But as of right now, I'm just sticking with one. Don't know how well it's going through. This is the bracket that goes over. This is still the original, I think. I'm pretty sure I cut this off the original. Actually, no, I didn't. I still have the original. So this is extra steel that I bought. But the original bracket would go from here, and it'd literally bolt right here where this body mount is. And obviously, you can't do that because the body mount's in the way. On the trucks, you don't have the body mount, so that factory bracket would work. So what I did is I took a piece, I think this is quarter plate, bolted it, came over here. I had some thick 90 brackets, and I have a bolt here and a bolt here, and that's it. The bracket that it came with only had 2 bolts, so I have it here and here, and then I got a brace right here that I put on the top. So this should resist any crumpling this way from an impact, which is mainly what that was for. If you get over here, you're not going to be able to tell, it's way too dark. Or, yeah, you can a little bit. Right here, there's a weld line all the way around. And that's the thin piece of steel, and this is the thicker piece of steel from the bumper. Like I said, you'll see in the pictures better. But basically, I took the bracket, cut it up, stuck it in here, and welded it. But that's the base bumper. Like I said, it's a Logans metal product bumper. You can actually still get it. I think you can still get it on eBay. They also have a website. I've never ordered anything off their website, though. I've only ordered it off eBay. But that's the base of the bumper. Then we get into the tire carrier. Now, all of this is stuff that I added. Well, obviously. But yeah, this is the hinge. I went differently on this because I like this double shear because it's a lot heavier duty over what I did with my Jeep. Which all my Jeep has, when I built this bumper, this is basically a spindle like you'd use on a trailer. It's a spindle. It's got a big thick place that goes down into here. I got it welded on the bottom and on the top. And then it's got a spindle right here. What I don't like about this is the flex. It's fine. Nothing's ever happened to it. And it should be able to support up to a 33 and a couple jerry cans. But it's just not as strong. I don't like how much it bounces. So with this one, I knew I was going to have some big wheels and tires on it eventually, whenever I do the solid axle swap. So I wanted something double shear and heavy duty. So I got this from Competition 4x4, which is a piece that goes back, goes angles down, and it's like this on the top and bottom. I added this as a guide for a secondary latch. That's the one thing I don't have on my Jeep that I would have liked to add. But I'm eventually going to get this same clamp and redo my tire carrier on my Jeep. I've done a lot more metal work since I built that. In fact, that was the second one that I built on my Jeep. First thing was the rock sliders. But this is a real heavy duty clamp. I can basically get on this and put all my weight on it. The only thing that moves is the bumper. Don't like doing that, because it supports the weight, but I just don't want to take the chance. Nothing should happen with it, but yeah. There's 2 roller bearings, or 2 tapered roller bearing seals, and it's got grease spots for the bearing. And again, I added this as a secondary latch. I actually made it bigger. The original latch was here to here, and had a little bit sticking out the bottom. What I actually did is I added a piece of tube. As you can see, I welded to the bottom of that. And then this clamp in between, or the rod in between, I actually took a piece of solid rod and welded it. So I actually extended this a good, I extended that a couple inches, and I extended the rod about a couple inches too. So I could get this where, it was long enough to do what I needed to do. But the main tube right here is a 2x2 1/4-inch tube, and that's the whole bottom structure from here all the way to the other side. And this is also the same down here where I dropped it down so I can have a spot to weld my latch. All that's 2x2 1/4-inch. The uprights and this main upright is 2x2 square tube, or 2x2 1/4 square tube. These sides are 2x2 1/8 tube, I think. I didn't have enough 1/4 left. I actually scavenged this from something else. So these supports are actually 2x2 by, I think, 1/8 inch. Thin stuff, but all it is just acting as an upright. 1/8 inch should be plenty for that. It has been since June-ish of 2016, summer of 2016 is when I built it. And this latch from I don't really know how you say their name. It's Desta Co. These are actually industrial latches, like you'd see in like a manufacturing plant or something to hold workpieces. You can use these to hold down fixtures when you're milling something. you know, they create anything and everything. So this is, I paid a pretty penny for this. I think it was over $100. But it's a good company. And it's all, it's not stainless, but it's all galvanized. And nothing has rusted on it. And it's been out in the weather the whole time. The only thing that's rusty is this nut right here. And that's just because I lost the nut that it originally came with. So this isn't the nut that it came with. I had to get another nut for that one. And that's the only thing on here that's rusted. But yeah. I got it because, one, it was a name brand, and two, it has the locking tab on it, and I wanted the locking tab. A lot of the cheaper ones didn't have the locking tab. I could have got one that didn't have the locking tab, and probably could, I think, saved about $50 or something, or maybe $30. But I wanted the locking tab just because I felt safer having a locking tab when you have a big tire, even with a secondary catch. But, yeah, I don't remember. I think I just randomly searched eBay and found that one. I'll put the part number in the description. The next thing, I got all this from Competition 4x4. It's got the tire mount plate, which is everything from 5 lug to 8 lug. Then it's got a receiver tube, and then a piece of 2x2 that slides in and out with a channel on the bottom. I don't know if you're able to see that with the sun. There's a channel at the bottom that bolts into that receiver tube that slides in and out, that keeps that bolted in. And then on the side, there's an anti-rattle nut on it, basically. And as you might see, there's a big gap. I could put it way in, but the tailgate hits. If I swing it all the way out, the tailgate hits the edge of the tire, and in fact, when I lower it, the seal that's right here actually rubs against the tire when I open and close the tailgate. But, yeah. So, I mean, I could have moved it over and centered it up, but I kind of wanted it more on this side, because on my Jeep, I have it on this side and have the tire carrier open this way, and that gives me no view out the rear window. If I look over my shoulder, I can't see anything. So that's the reason I moved it over to the driver's side and opened it this way. Now that I learned my lesson on the Yukon, so I still have some rear visibility out of this, you know, section over here. Not much, because that tire's pretty big, but enough that I can still look at it. I can still look out and see stuff. And then I added this 90-degree plate here and just put another ID bar, same one I got back there. It's red on these two and that one, and on these four and these four, it's white, so it's a reverse light. Later on, when I did my radio, when I did my Pioneer, I went ahead and put the camera under there. I don't like those welds, but hell, it's been on there for a couple years now, actually. And it hasn't gone anywhere. The welds look like crap, but it held. Main reason is because this is like paper thin. So I was welding it and it was burning up. So I, you know, had to tack it on there. And being my flux core welder doesn't like tacking. You have to sit there, hold it for a second, and then it will burn in. But doing that was burning through the bracket. So I just did what I did. Under there, you can see the light that I added for the license plate on that little angle piece I put on there. And as far as bumper rigidity, this bumper is not designed for a tire carrier. So you might have saw when I was down here before, this plate right here, if it focuses right. This is a piece of 1/4-inch plate, and what I did, I cut it. And I have it welded all up on the mounting bracket, which does take 2 of the factory bolt holes. And actually the only factory bolt holes are 2. Welded it all up there. I didn't get the back side because I couldn't. But welded that all there. Welded it at the top and down the side and at the bottom. So it's got the top, the front, and the bottom piece right here. And the main bracket. And this main reason is to keep this side of the bumper from flexing. And the bumper does pull down and flex slightly, but it would have been a lot worse had I not put that brace there. This brace ties in this part of the bumper with the mounting bracket, so it keeps it from twisting. Any bumper that wasn't designed for a tire carrier, you're going to have to brace up in some way or another. And I chose to do that by adding that brace. Now, there is some movement, but the movement is the whole bumper just slightly tweaking. So yeah, it's not much more movement than you're going to get, you know. Hell, even a factory tire carrier on a Jeep, when you put a bigger tire on there, has some flex to it. When I put this mount on down here, I just took it and welded it on here. I taped it up, or I painted it. That's not a part number, that's just the name. But I put that right here. I just put welds on the side. It's fine, hasn't gone anywhere. When I did it down here, let's see if I can open it. It's kind of a tricky job because you got to come over here, you got to come over here, and this is basically this is a two-person job opening it. And I put a stop on this one because my Jeep doesn't have a stop. So I wanted it to be able to lock 90 degrees. And then I have it where it locks at as far out as it will open. But what I did here is I took some of that angle that I made for the brackets for the frame. Went down and over. This is just some pieces of rubber that I just drilled some holes through and put down here just to dampen a little bit, even though it sets on that bolt. This is the other side of that bracket that came, other side of that latch. And I welded that to, I put two supports back here because I think it was bending down a little bit. So I took some of that 1/4 inch that I used and just welded it along here and welded it along here. That just creates a box for this. It's got D-ring slots. I haven't put D-rings in it yet. But that's what it's like open from the back side. Get a better look at that. Top of the tube, I just added a little ring. This was a ring with a threaded rod on it that I added. And then I added another piece of solid rod that I had left over. I just put this cable tie on here. If somebody wants the spare tire or something and they can't get the lug nuts off, they're just going to cut this and take it. So it's just keeping an honest person honest. But yeah, this is it open. Here's I went too small, but this was my wire management. I welded a piece of, I think, 1/4 tube right here and right here. And I have the light, the ID bar ran through there. What I didn't think about is adding something later. This is my camera wire. I couldn't get my camera wire stuffed through there because the end of the cable with the camera was too big. I tried my darndest to get it stuck through there and I couldn't. But yeah, when I welded this pipe on, I did it solidly. There's no need to, so I just went a stitch welded it all the way down. I wish I would have went with a bigger diameter tube so I could have fit this camera wire through there. But it was neat till I added the camera. So I had my wire running through there. It was nice and neat, and there's nothing I can really do with that. I just put a hole in there in the back. Put a little hole right there, go through the back. But yeah, open it up one more. Oops. That's it, open all the way. So you don't get the full 180 or full lock side. But honestly, there's really no more. There's no more I want it to open. Let's put it that way. because then you start getting really close to the tire, getting close over here when you start getting bigger tires. This is only it's a worn down almost 34. So when you start getting like a 35 or a 36 or a 37, this full size tread, it gets pretty close. But yeah, that rim's actually new. I just got this mounted today. This is an old rear tire. I got 2 new rear tires because these got wore out on the front with my alignment being all messed up. So I got a matching rim because solid axle swap isn't happening anytime soon. So I decided to go ahead and match. But yeah, that's it. I've been basically rambling for 15 minutes. And then I'll have a bunch of pictures at the end. Hopefully this wasn't too all over the place. But yeah, it's done good for, I think I built it in I'm pretty sure I built it in the middle of 2016. So June-ish. So yeah, it's been about 2 years or so. 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. Okay, yeah, 3 years. So this tire carrier has actually done great in those 3 years. Like I said, with it does go over bumps and stuff on the road. You can look in the rearview mirror and see it move. But it's moving because it's way out here. And it's got a, this is an anchoring point. But the anchoring point can still, the way that I have it latched, it's just down. It's not back. So it can do a little bit of that number. And this just being the way it is, just does a very slight tweak. Nowhere near as much as it would do if I didn't have that brace. And of course you get out here and it's just the nature, you get farther and farther away, so a little tiny movement here looks like a big movement way out here, so it's not moving as much as you think it's moving. But yeah, that's it, and I'll just post a bunch of pictures at the end of the video. I don't know, probably be a 20-something minute video by the time I get all the pictures in there, if I end it now. But anyway, enjoy the pictures, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.